Hello again, everybody. It's Harry Boxer, the Technical Trader at techtrader.com. It's Saturday, November the 18th. This is the weekend webinar. Well, obviously a very big weekend for the markets. As we indicated to you the week before, we thought that chance was very possible, and we got a thrust, particularly on Tuesday when the market gapped and ran. And if you take a look at the S&P 500, this little mini flag is just underneath key resistance. So next week, we're going to watch 45.40. That's your target. We get above that, a chance at the all-time high at 46.07. I'm sorry, not the all-time high, but the recent two-year high. Then beyond that, and there is a key resistance up there, by the way. If you take a look at these tops here, and that one and this one, that is a massive resistance level that, if taken out, could lead to a big move into the high fours, 48, 4,900, something like that. It's very possible. So we're just going to have to keep close tabs on it. This to me constitutes a 1-2 with the platform above the moving averages, and this is a 3, maybe even not done with 3. It could be a 1-2 of 3, and then we can get 3, 4, and 5 of 3. But for now, it's a 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, maybe 5. We're just going to have to see what kind of extension we get, but it's certainly as bullish as you can get, at least on a short-term basis. The NASDAQ 100 came along for the party. You can see it's right up against the July high, which at that point was 15,932. The high this week, 15,904, and now we're flagging. The breakout through here, we're looking at 16,600, maybe even 17,000. Interesting that the transportation index and small caps index is starting to come on here. And the way they did is, first of all, after a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave decline, which saw a kind of a selling climate on a transportation index, that they're having dropped from 16.7 to 13, under 13.5, losing 3,200 points. It did a 1, 2, 3, and now it looks like a wave 4 consolidation is underway. But note that the declining top sign, the 50-day moving average, all pierced. The moving averages crossed over and are curling up, and now we're consolidating. It could be nothing more than a wave 4 underway, which could lead to fifth wave, gets us up to at least 15.4, maybe 15.8 or 9. So we'll just have to see if there's an extension and whether or not key resistance right now, which looks like about 15.2 in that zone, needs to be taken out for the Dow Jones transportation. But a V bottom with a right-hand extension and a rising channel underway on that. And look at the IWM small cap Russell 2000, very similar. Took out a 5-wave decline, popped to resistance at declining top sign, and the 50 backed off and held the moving averages as they crossed over, and then a breakaway gap and a pop up to resistance at these lows and brought it back down. But we had a positive day on Friday, up 1.3%. The key is going to be take out last week's high above 181 3/4. You might see a run to a high 180s, like 189 or even 190. It's very possible, right about there. So let's see if the market wants to extend this more and continue the year-end rally. Let's look at the indices. Let's take a look at the underlying technicals. You want to know if the oscillators are overbought, right? Well, yes and no, meaning it's at the upper end of the range, and a couple of weeks ago it reached plus 179, which is quite overbought. Not necessarily as overbought as we've seen. We've seen it up in the 220, 250 range, and we may get there yet as this thing's backing and filling in here, similar to what you see every time we have a big pop. They back and fill a little bit, and then usually come lower as the market goes higher, but the technicals aren't quite as strong in terms of the ratios. Meaning at the beginning of every move, we'll see 5 and 10 and 12 and 15 of better to 1 type advanced declines and up-down volume, but as the market rally continues, it's filtered down to 2 to 1, 3 to 1, something like that, which takes the oscillator actually lower. But you can see that in the entire month, last month or so, we've held the zero line and been above that, which is very positive, I think, for the market. In addition to that, percentage of stocks above their 40-day moving average have moved up into 5 out of 8 stocks basically are now above their 40. Anytime we get up towards the 75 to 85 range, it's overbought, but we're not there yet. The high this week was 66. We closed at 61.48. Yeah, on Friday. But we're nearing the upper end of the range, which could mean we can get overbought and then maybe stay overbought for a week or two like they usually do. So that's why I'm thinking that 2 or 3 more weeks could be in this rally, that the bears may get squeezed. We'll see. What about the VIX? Well, it never got extreme as it got up to plus 23, the highest rate reading we saw since March. Look how quickly it dropped off, back to 1380. Low end of the range we've seen in a long time, since 2020. Is it apathy? Not quite yet, but it's getting there. So now look at some of the major ETFs we follow that I believe lead the market. How about semiconductors? Look at the SMH, folks. This is actually a tick high above here. What is that? An all-time high. That's right. Most people don't realize that this semiconductor group, which saw a high of 159.35 back in January of 22, and then made a nominal high of 160.79 before backing off recently. Just reached 162.96 and closed at 162.25. So we're in new all-time high territory and in a rising flag. This is about as strong as it gets. So semiconductors absolutely leading here, and you'll see some examples of that later. What about financials? Well, I've come way back with the prospect of no more interest rate increases and maybe even a decrease next year. The market always discounts the future 6 to 9 months in advance, folks. You will see that. And that's why they say the market climbs a wall of worry. How about this? Look at the financial group, which as recently as October 27th. Now, we're only talking about 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. In 3 weeks, this has gone from 48.73 to 67. And there is resistance at about 70, 69 and change right here. But we get to that, we can see more progress. Take a look at the long-term declining tops line. This goes back a couple of years, and we pierced that. So this V bottom with a platform of flag here, and then the breakout last week, very bullish for the market as the SMH and FAS lead the way. What about biotechs? Well, they were lagging, but they're starting to punch it a little bit. We have a double bottom in the XBI. You can see where resistance is. It's right in here. If next week the XBI punches through 75, you might see this thing make its way all the way up to 80, 81 range. That's my near-term target if we take out 75 in the XBI. That would really put a lot of weight behind the market in terms of all the industry groups, all leading industry groups moving in the right direction. Okay, some of the other groups we follow, obviously oil's been weak, and I've been telling you that for a while that I didn't like it, especially after it did a 1, 2, 3 and then rolled over. Now there was a kiss back, and you can see what it's done since then. The USL got from 81.75 to 67.45. And yeah, it's not a big, like 0.618 fib retracement. So at some point you might get a bounce, but until we do, the trend is down on USO and UCO similar. Gas, well, that's going down too. As you can see, the BOIL, new all-time lows, folks, believe it or not. While the KOLD, which is the one we've been trading, pops across a triple, quadruple top. And now maybe looking at next week in the 70, let's call it 73 as your near-term target at that gap. It's a good 6 points from here. You might get a nice extension on it. Gold, well, folks, I like the patterns in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down, a punch up to the neckline of what looks like an inverse head and shoulders, a pull back to the shoulder line, and then a bounce. If GDX takes out 30, 30 and 15 in this area right there, we're probably going to look at 32 3/4, 34 1/4, maybe 36. Those are my targets going forward for the GDX if gold takes off. I think the next few days might be critical to whether or not it's completed that pattern or it needs to extend it. The nugget, similar pattern with a downsloping neckline, not quite as strong. Same with the JNUG. And you can see this is basically still, for my money, in a downtrend. So we need to pop out, particularly on the JNUG I think you're good to go over 31. So we're going to watch GDX 30, 30 and a quarter and JNUG 31 going forward. That's breakout time. Now, if that happens, you know, the AG gold and silver may all start to run out. You can see AGQ came out of what looks like an inverse head and shoulders right to the neckline and the decline top line. But this has got to punch out. Next target's 33 and 35 and 3/4 on AGQ if we can take this pattern to the upside. So that covers the underlying technical indicators, the major indices, and the major ETFs that I follow. There's others as well, but we'll start with a look at some of the longs and some beauties here, folks. This is I've culled this list down to, I think it's about 85 stocks out of 13,000. So you're looking at the top half of 1% of stocks that I think is very promising going forward. Here, for example, is ACHR. Now you can see that from April through August. Excuse me, this went from about $1, 1 3/4 to over 7.5, I think it is. Yeah, 7.45.49, and then this corrective pullback. But look at the little inverse head and shoulders and the breakaway gap and the pop, and now a little flag. I like ARCHR for a move to 7.5, 9, and even 11 going forward. This might be a swing. Keep an eye on it, particularly if there's volume. ACLX has been in a beautiful rising channel. ACLX, another biotech stock on the move, recently had an explosive breakout above 36 and has gone to 56. 57 was tagged, actually. The top of the channel says this could be $68. AEO in the retail group, it's been some great retail stocks like AEO and ANF. Look at this one. Back in June, this smoked down to under 10, and here it is, 20, doubled. And it looks like a 1-2, and this is a choppy wave, but I don't think this wave is done, and I'm looking for 23. Up next is AFRM, a current swing trade. It's choppy, but the overall trend shows me a 1, 2, 3, 4, and the fifth wave's underway, and I don't think it's done either. I think we may get to 29.30, especially if we get to this little double top at 27. AMD, well, it may come to the forefront. I like the way this has been acting. Obviously, it had a multiple wave move up here and then a orderly decline with most of the semiconductors from the June-October period. The breakout occurred a week and a half ago, and you can see it's right back up to the July peak. We get through here, we're looking at 132. ANF, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, one of the most stellar retailers out there a year ago, trading at 15, and here we are at 73, almost fivefold, and it doesn't look done yet. They have near-term target 82.3. APG in the engineering construction group, nice downtrend. You have a V bottom with a platform flag holding to 50, and then a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 before that long consolidation. However, it's broken out again. The trend says this could be 34. APLS, well, when it spiked up and flagged, we put a swing on it. It then went from about 40 to 52, came down, forming a coil with multiple tops and resistance here. If APLS takes out 51, look for 60, 62, and 70. Autolus Therapeutics, I just put this on my list a couple weeks ago because I like the base pattern. After a long decline, it's moving up and through resistance, pulled back to test, held, and then ripped. Now look at the last week on this one. From 331, Friday's high of 484, $1.50, almost a 45-50% pop. And it doesn't look done yet to me either. 5.5 and 7.5 are targets. Steady as she goes, BRBR has been in a beautiful uptrend for a year now, and it's taken a move from 20 to 45 with a target of 53. CBAY, a current tech trader swing, as you can see, is nominal new high set on Thursday, installed here, but my target remains 23.5, 4. CCJ, the leading purveyor of uranium, leader in the industry, so to speak, like First Solar is in solar. I like this chart a lot. Long base, breakout retest, held the moving average, and just keep climbing up along the moving average. $50 and $57 targets. CDNA, long downtrend, broken. A big surge off the low just a couple of weeks ago from 480, doubling to 969. Installed in here. It might have been a reversal day Friday. We'll see, but extension targets is 11.5. CECO Environmental. Look at this beautiful uptrend. In a year and a half, this stock has gone from 4 and change to nearly 20. Yeah, it did trade at 20 earlier this week, 2041. So it's at the top of the mid-range channel. They need to consolidate a little bit, but if momentum takes it further, we're looking at high 20s. CLBT, Celebrite is in the software group, broke out, retested. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth wave starter with a thrust. The extension is 10. CLF may be in the market to acquire U.S. steel, and I think it will. And when that occurs, we have a whole new ball game. The stock, I think, is going to be 18.5 and 22 at some point. CLS, beautiful long-term chart. They've really gone from 3 to 28 over the last few years. But take a look at a spike down and reversal right back up again. I got a $30 target. COCO Vita would look like a head and shoulders forming, but it broke out and now it's wedging. So I'm looking back in the bullish camp, especially if this pop and wedge results in a spike. Your targets are 33 and 40. COYA, beautiful base has been built. I like the underlying technicals. Take a look at Friday's action as it popped across multiple tops. If I can get some volume, I'm looking at 6, 7, and 7 3/4. CRNX, beautiful base, breakaway gap, large consolidation for like 3 months now. Obviously, we're waiting for this one to make a move above 31.40, and then you're looking at 37 and 42. Carpenter Technology, formerly Carpenter Steel, obviously a steel company with a beautiful chart. 26 to 72, nearly tripled. If you look at the current action, this consolidation zone could lead to 80. CRISPR, one of our best current swings, popped, broke out, pulled back briefly, and then boom. What a week for this one. 48.5 to almost 69 just this week. Fantastic move, and it's nearing my target at 70. Consolidated Water popped out, flagged, coiled, broke out, now wedging. The extension to me says 40. Electronics, look at this chart, isn't that pretty? A V bottom occurred, climax at $1.46, December 7th of 22. That was what, 11 months ago. High this week, over 1167 from 146, about an 8-fold increase. And yet, doesn't look done to me, does it? My target, 13.5. DELL popped, pulled back, we put a swing on it, then took a long coil to develop, but boy, did it break out. And now I'm looking for 80. DraftKings, beautiful coil developed, breakaway gap, rising channel. Boy, does this look good. I'm looking for 44 and 48, maybe more. Current support is at 34. DRCT exploded this week, and breakaway gap occurred last Friday, and then it just kept going. How about that? 246 to 696 in a week and a half. At resistance, but at all-time highs. This could still accelerate further, but careful. Duolingo, beautiful breakout, breakaway gap occurred right there, and you can see that the pullback and consolidation sets it up for even more upside. I believe the channel top at about 235 is your target. ETHE, big bases developed with bottoms 8 months apart. Popped up to resistance. Probably should say popped through resistance. No, let me redraw these lines. Yeah. Pull back to test the moving averages, they cross over, and then it spiked. My target now is going to be 11 3/4 and 14. EDU, one of the largest educational stocks in China, companies in China with a massive move, still trending higher, 75 target. ETHE in the crypto realm coiled for weeks, months actually, and finally broke out and ran. Looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4 with a fifth wave target of 2021. EXPE, beautiful long-term base, beautiful breakout. Notice it got to the resistance and backed up and held support near the breakout point, and then run up the ladder. 113 to 138, just in the last week and a half. I got a 150-51 target. Bigs, big breakaway gap, then a wedge pullback that held the moving averages and popped again. Now it had an inside day Thursday and a follow through Friday, so I like this. I'm looking for it 7 1/4, 8, 8 3/4. GBTC in the crypto realm, Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, with Bitcoin having run from the high teens to the high 30s. This thing's gone from 8, 28, 29. I still have a target in the mid 30s on this one. I don't think it's done. GE, phenomenal move in the last year and a half, has gone from, well, not even that. Let's just say in the last year, GE has gone from 48 to 120. That's right, 120 was tagged on Friday. Where's the target now? At 135, 150, 52. Geo popped out. We put a swing on it. It's been working its way higher slowly. Still looks okay to me. Initial target is 10 1/4, 11, 12 1/2. GPS, explosive breakaway gap on Friday, takes it to a double top. It looks to me like it's going to at least test this area where there's some more gap resistance at about 19 and then 22. HRTG, what a wonderful rising channel for this little insurance company. It took a run from 112 to over 8. And the extension target tells me it could be 11. IBRX exploded, pulled back, and popped again. It looks to me like it's got momentum for a move to 5 1/2, 6 1/2. CVX, look at that move. Biotech's really recovering in just a week. 635 to 1166. 5-point move, and it's above resistance. So now I'm looking for a challenge in the mid-teens, maybe 15, 16. Wow, this should be powerful. Let's see if there's follow through. IDYA, one of my top picks of the year, looking really good for me. I like the way it continues. My next target is 33, 34 zone. IMVT exploded in September. It's coiling ever since. It seems like it wants to come out, but I would think that it has to get through 36 to really get going. Keep an eye on that one. Support 31. Some junior semiconductors with the SMH moving are coming on here, like INDI and NVTS and ATOM, but INDI in particular intrigues me because of this downtrend and a spike, stall, breakout, and now close above all of that. I think we're going to test 7 1/2, maybe as early as Monday, but your real targets are 8 1/2 and 10 1/2. Intel, one of the big old line, obviously semiconductor stocks, a new 52-week high. Looks to me like my $44, $45 target might be met short term. Secondary target 51. Kyndryl Holdings KD comes through a double top with this breakaway gap and a little wedgie, and it's moving. My next target 19, and then 22. KOD, Kodiak popped on Friday big time, and I wanted to show it to you because it looks like it's coming through resistance with a target of 3 1/4 1/2, and then maybe 4. Katos, beautiful long-term channel. This aerospace stock has gone from 9 to 19, looks higher. 21, 22 short-term target. LFMD swing trade, pop, coil, breakout, rising flag. Technicals aren't great, but target still remains 11 and 15. In the automotive group for China, the electric vehicle group has Lee with an inverse head and shoulders after a down channel breaking out, retesting and filling the gap and popping again. There is some resistance right here at 41. Secondary resistance is 43. And there's a gap at 44 1/2. But my target remains 47. Leon, this Chinese stock with a breakaway gap and a strong run has a really tight flag, the kind that often does break out. My targets are 5 and 6. LMB has been a beautiful long-term rising channel. It's taken it from 5 to 40, pulled back and broke out again. It actually is making new highs here. So my extrapolation target is 50 and 55. Logitech broke out. We put a day traded tech trader swing on it, and it's gone from 74 to 85.5. Tagged to my 79 target. My 88 target is ahead, 87, 88, and then maybe 91 too. LTRX. Well, if you recall, when it broke out, we put a swing on it, but after a couple of days, it came down again. All it did was extend the base, broaden the base, and even set it up for a bigger move, I think. The move back up and the stall and then pop. This is what you got to watch for. We can reinstate a swing if it pops above 550. If that's the case, I'll then be looking for 6, 6.25, and then 7 3/4. Macy's with the long downtrend and then a big pop breakaway move last week, snapping back from 1059 to 1450 and closing pretty much at the high for the week and near the gap. My target is 16 3/4. NENOX, well, a couple times the stock, well, obviously this was a big move for us in May, June. We had a really big swing on it. Take a look at this pullback. For a stock that went from 5 to 22 and change, and then all the way back down to 5, basically nearly double bottom, popped, flagged, and popped again. Now it's above the 50 for the first time since way back here in June. So I'm thinking swing, and I put a new swing on it, but I need to see some follow through. Targeting 7 3/4 and 9. Nutanix. Love this company and chart, and it's a beauty. Made a new high this week at 40.38 and backed off a little bit. But the top of the channel tells me we're not done until we get to 43.44, at least short term. Oscar, long downtrend, breakaway gap, rising wedge. Broke out Friday. Closed right there. And now extension targets at 8.5 3/4 and 9 3/4 10. PAY as Paymentus, beautiful rising channel, broke out of a coil and moved back to the resistance. I think it goes through. I think it extends to 21. That's my new target. That should be a swing. PACCAR, look at this chart. Stair stepping its way higher at a rising 45-degree angle. This has gone from the low 50s to the low 90s. And more importantly, recently the consolidation of multi-months here. Held support, broke out, and now I have a target at $100, folks, maybe 102. Impinj. Love this company. We made good money on it a couple times in the last few years, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down, double bottom breakout. We put a swing on it. It's moved nicely from 61 to 82, and now I'm looking for 92 and above. Palantir, breakaway gap above the moving averages, wedges, spikes, and now above the double top here on Friday. Significant move, I thought. Looking for an extension to 23 and 27.8. Quick, another junior semiconductor. After basing, popping, and wedging, it then popped and coiled. That coil broke out. Now, looking for 12 3/4. Ramp, popped out, pulled back. This is a new swing for us. I just feel like it's not done. It's got a beautiful rising channel, talking 37 and 40. Rover, popped out of a multi-month consolidation with a breakaway gap, and now it's flagging or wedging in here. Looking for an extension to 9. Rhythm. Well, as you know, this is one of my favorites of the prior year. Took a long time to consolidate, coiled, broke out, and ran. And now it's up against the highs from early 23, early in the year. It just feels like this is the kind of stock that can go again. Looking for a move to, I would say 39.40. Saba. Well, after a long downtrend, it popped out and pulled back to the moving averages and started to move again. I like the V bottom of the right hand extension, and it could be a left shoulder, head, right shoulder with with that pattern telling me we're going to 26.75, 29 and 32. Shopify, beautiful long-term chart. Breakaway gap, flagged, broke out, and my target 76 and 88. Solana, look at that breakaway gap with big drug news back in the September. Since then, it's been coiling, but look what happened Friday. Breakaway pop. And it's very, very thin for volatile stock. First target is 32.3, second target is 38.40. SMCI, right on the verge of maybe breaking out. Key resistance is 315.17. You get through that, you're looking at 350.60 again. SPR, tech trader swing, popped and flagged and popped again, and now it's wedging. The extension target takes me up to 29 and 32. Smith & Wesson broke out here. We put a swing on it and advanced nicely, then backed off. Tested key support Friday morning. Lateral price, 50-day moving average, and trendline support before having a big tail develop on it. It's bullish. Closing near the upper end of the range, what I would look for now is a takeout of this resistance at 14.5, and then move to 15.75 and 16.75. DGTX, nasty downtrend, folks. Took it from the mid-30s down to $6. Breakaway gap above the moving averages, which have crossed over and consolidating. Look at Friday breakout and minor breakout. But if it follows through, keep an eye on this one for a swing to 16 and 19. TPST, another explosive move, followed by a long falling wedge. Watch for breakout above 435. You get that, you may be in business for a move to 6, 7, and 8. Twist Biosciences, big day Friday, up 535, that's 28%. Line was 4.4 million, big for that stock, and it took it out across a long-term declining top line. I think we're going to try testing the double top up here at 27.5. That's your near-term target, followed by 30.31. Uber's been phenomenal all year. We were originally long a swing at 28 and change. It's doubled to 54, and my target now is 59. UEC junior uranium stock looks great, continues to look good. It's at resistance, but a move through here could be getting you to 8, 9, 10. UIS breakaway gap and run through 3 layers of resistance. I'm now looking for 590 to 6. Upwork, look at the base on this. Maybe a left shoulder, head, right shoulder, but it's a long 1-year base. Now, beautiful little bull wedge. Keep an eye on this one. You get about 15.5, you might see 19. URTY, that's these Russell 2000 ETF, very similar to IWM. Both those two look juicy. Breakaway gap platform. I got a target of 38 on this one. The UUU in the uranium group, targeting 9, 10, and 11. VRT, great run from April through September when it went from 12 to 40. But look at the platform and rising flag that it's built. This doesn't look like it wants to go down, does it? Target 50. PST similar. Look at a long base, flagged, little mini flag, larger coil, another little wedge. I think we're looking at $40 for this one. VTEX. Right now, it's at the highest level on this one since May of 22. As a result, I'm looking for a run to test 8 3/4. Wolfie, one of the little mini inverse head and shoulders after a downtrend, and so it goes 68 to 28. But this pop and pullback on low volume, and then another pop Friday has me thinking we're going higher. 41, 45. Wrap. Look for low price stock. Look at this move. $1.25 to 320, 2 points, and then the pullback. I think we go 2 more points from here. We're 4.25 up in that zone. Nice wedge, looks higher. US Steel, I believe, is a takeover, and we're going to find out soon. My target's at 38.40 zone. XPEV, the other Chinese automotive EV manufacturer, along with a lead that I like, maybe setting up with a V bottom on a platform. but it's going to have to take some, get some energy back above the 18-19 zone. Possible target 23. That's it for longs, folks, and that's it for me today. I have some shorts to go over, but I don't like the patterns. I think the market is going higher, and I think, giving you my take on some shorts is counterproductive at this point. I may be wrong, but the vast majority of shorts that I see, we can go over them very quickly. This list has been called down because so many of them have been covered. So I'm just going to quickly run through them for you. If you look at ACLS, you'll see it looks like a bear flag, so this might still be in play. There's a 1, 2, 3, 4 with a fifth wave target, 109.10. And also with a 1, 2, 3, 4, if it breaks down, we're looking at 118.20 from 136. BDC, big breakdown, snapback, and then failure. But it's snapping back here now. Retesting 60 might be in play if the market pulls back. BMEA has moved up a little bit, but after a big drop like this, I indicated to you to cover near support, which is down at here. CHX broke down from the wedge, retested from another wedge, and it broke down but snapped back. Careful on this one. It's an oil and gas stock. It should go higher if the market does in oil, but it might see 25 seconds as well. Crocs, I think, is a cover, as it appears, after a long decline. It's still go from 148 down to 70 something, 74. And this push here should be covered if it pops above 92.3 range. DAR also with a big drop in a wedge. It doesn't look very good. It's really not responding well to the market. That's always a sign that it could go lower. So keep an eye on that one with the target now way down here at 30. If it cracks. DOX, not much going on here. It looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4 as well. So it would be a cover for me over 84.5, but the downside target could be 75. ELF did recover nicely, so I'm skeptical because it didn't look good for a while, but this now is broken back out. But right at the breakout point, any move above Friday's high 117.18 would be a cover. The downside targets are 105 and a retest of that 89.90 low. Hubs also sticking its head out above the declining top line at resistance. You don't want to see it go any higher than that. If it fails, you can roll over, but you got to be careful with that. INTT, terrible chart. Bear flag, bear flag, bear flag again. Downside target are 10, 10.5. But any stock has gone from 27 down to 11. It might be covered if it pops out above, say, 13. Las Vegas, massive head and shoulder top breakdown and run right back to resistance here. So again, you want to take it out above last week's high, which is 50.5, say stop at 51-ish. If it goes down, you can retest the low to mid 40s. OMC with a breakdown, a little mini bear flag, and then a large one. Not quite sure if this one's going to snap back further or roll over and die here. Careful. SCI came down hard and snapped right back above resistance. So careful on this one too. Stops over 61.5. Technoglass, which broke down and rallied back and then kept up going lower, finally popped. And actually, this is what it looks like. It broke out and it's sitting there consolidating above the moving average. It's dangerous to be short that stock. And let's take a look at the longs, some of the shorts, underlying technical indicators, and all the important ETFs that you're going to need. Please review this in depth and get yourself prepared for next week. We're going to need it. It's going to be a volatile week. This is HB out. Have a great rest of your weekend.